The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Let's jump back in. We got some horse racing on the go this weekend on Saturday. The Arkansas, to people who can read well, Derby. There's 2 races. This was so popular for horses to get in, they had to expand it to 2 divisions of horses. So we'll break down each of the races. Last time we were on, we did the Florida Derby. Did we give out winners? No. But if you would bet on the book that I had bet on, because there were so many withdrawals from that race, they turned the trifectas into the exactas. And if you had played those trifectas and they got bumped up, you actually won a bunch of money. It was the greatest thing in the world. I've never won money for being wrong in my life, but here we are. So maybe we can double down on some of that money and really juice up the accounts right now. Joining me, as they did last time, to break this all down from awesomeo.com, Ben Rasa is on the line. Sweet haircut.
Yeah, non-existent haircut here. I don't know how you did it, but no, I'm just going full mop here. Not a good situation, but I'm excited. We got the band back together for the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah, the move is I used some of those winnings from the Florida Derby to buy clippers for myself and just went full in the army now. I'm basically Pauly Shore. So,
yeah, that's why I need a winner here, because I need to buy some clippers as soon as possible. So we really got to get this right.
I want to remind everyone out there to smash the like button for the episode, and in the comment section, just let me know who you think is going to win one of the 2 divisions of the Arkansas Derby. And don't be afraid to subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast and rate it 5 stars and say something you like about the show. That's how we do right now. That's the currency of the show. So if you can help us out, please do that. From sportsgrid.com, the king of the quarantine, Cam Stewart. What's up?
Yeah, Pat, here we go. That's what I'm saying. If you see me in the morning, buddy, this is all full grease job. I have the gel, I'm slicking it down, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a call one day. I want to challenge Guy off with his mop top hair shop from Plate. My thing is absolutely monstrous right now. I got the creams. I'm knocking it down and sweating even more, Pat. But I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, quarantine. I went down to my Chinese hairdresser, $8 haircut. She's still not opening. I'm willing to take a chance. Kind of like Ben. I'm getting sick and tired of this stuff, but maybe my girlfriend, after a couple of vodkas, will give it a chance tonight when she comes over. That'll be fun.
When I first moved to Toronto, I went around, because I was living in the downtown core, and I went to all these places I need to get my haircut. And they were $60 per haircut, $80 per haircut. I was like, what is this?
No thanks.
Where did I move to? So I went to Chinatown, and I got myself a $6 haircut. Not doing that again. I never went back. It was not great.
Oh, I go back all the time. $8. It's great to bring in there. I even go down. She does the neck and stuff like that too. And I got no problem with it. You know what I mean, Pat? My hair is not that tricky. So for $8, I think it's a good deal. Meanwhile, you're right. I go to $40 place in the halal center there. And these guys, it's nice that I get a Moroccan soccer game, but I'm also getting a $40 haircut. These guys are scamming me on pomades. No, thank you. I'd rather deal with the $8 and take it from there.
Well, like I mentioned at the outset of the show, that the Arkansas Derby had so much action on it, they had to separate into 2 races. So
it's awesome.
The gambling industry is really weird right now, because a lot of the new places that have come onto the scene have not only registered for an online sports book, they're also online casinos. And online casinos are way up during COVID-19, where places like Vegas are getting absolutely hammered because they don't really have a digital presence. It's all on the scene, actual sports betting. So what are you seeing right now in terms of even horse racing, Cam?
It's crazy, Pat. When Gabe and I were doing our show, Game Time Decisions, we were talking about handles. Tampa Bay Downs, way up. They've almost doubled. Gulfstream is making it hand over fist. Gulfstream already had big pools. Now with this, and think about all the casual sports bettors that don't want to bet on, ping pong, or they don't want to bet on, what is it, Hungarian sports that are still open right now. And let's call it out for what it is. The Korean baseball league's opening up. I couldn't tell you who the hell's who. These guys, oh yeah, I'm going to bet on this stuff just for kicks. Sims are bigger, Pat. I did, I bet on my first sim game, the Madden game, Carolina versus Kansas City. There's no rhyme or reason to the Sims either. They're just kind of there. Very good graphics. I enjoyed it. And I'll tell you one thing. They make the coaches look svelte. Andy Reid lost about 170 pounds. I couldn't believe it. I was watching this thing going, wow, I don't know if he paid these guys off, but he looks great. But horse racing is the one thing. They're still running at Oaklawn in Arkansas. They're running at Gulfstream. Florida's open for business. Tampa Bay Downs. And Will Rogers, one of the smaller tracks, sometimes they're a standalone racetrack. and they've been killing it. Like some days they're the only game in town, and their handles are huge. So I'll tell you one thing, a lot of casual bettors who don't want to bet on crazy stuff are getting into horses right now, and we'll see if they stick around after COVID-19 slows down.
Yeah, what are you seeing with this, Ben? Because the only thing that I've really bet on, and I waited as long as possible to do it, I felt like I don't need to gamble on things that I don't actually watch. That's not usually something for me. But I started watching the Outlaw Tour. I was like, don't really know a ton about it, but I'll do some research. I'll throw down a little bit of cash on it. So I've been betting on the Outlaw Tour. That's really it for me. Are you betting on the, like, I know over at Osimo, you guys are like crushing League of Legends DraftKings. Like, are you betting on it?
Yeah, I mean, the projections over there have been fantastic. I know nothing about esports, not my forte, but if I think there's an edge, I'll do it. I bet the NFL draft pretty heavily. Other than that, though, I've been good. Cam mentioned I'm not straying into like Belarusian soccer just yet and getting like too dangerous with the Russian ping pong, but we'll see. A couple weeks, looks like Bundesliga and maybe some other soccer will open up. I will probably get down on that.
Yeah, so I don't know about Bundesliga soccer because I heard a report out of Germany.
Yeah, they're tightening.
That they're going to tighten back up because the second wave was hitting, or at least not necessarily a second wave, but like the whatever the regression was, it needs to be below 1, but now it's back at 1, which means it's even. I don't really quite understand it. They say it's not good. They say not tremendous news, so therefore they might have to shut that back down. But MMA is going to come back in a big way, like starting next week. And Cam, it looks like golf is going to be back at Colonial, and I do think that because it's outside, that they can get a free pass on this, where people are just so desperate for sports that they'll overlook what goes on if they can get those tests in place. And the Outlaw Tour has been going on; these mini tours have been going on, so at least there is some proof of concept that this can work.
Excellent point. Like that was the thing that I've been talking to people. Golf's the one sport, we don't have to really be near each other. You can get a marshal who's not an older person as well. And I kind of like it without the fans, Pat. How many times have we had guys on 18 were sitting there, and because they have a big gallery, oh, that ball was heading for the water. No, it didn't. It hit a person, a hospitality cart, and bounced right back into the fairway when I need one shot when my guy's in second place right now. I think it's interesting. You could social distance it's like I see you at the first tee. Hi, buddy. I'll see you at the 19th hole type of thing. And I think golf is one of the sports that could do it. They were doing their due diligence and they were very patient. But yeah, and what you said, I bet my first women's golf tournament, it was like Cactus Tour. Haley Moore, the girl from Arizona, I won it like plus 650. I'm sitting there going, because I remember watching her in some amateur NCAA tournaments on Golf Channel, and my first bet I won. I'm like, wow, I'm doing better on these mini tours than I am on the PGA Tour. More, please.
I bet the Cactus Tour this week, and I think I took the person who's in last place.
Hey, Pat, you're throwing darts. I remember the last tournament was like Alex Chayka, and I'm like, who are these other guys? Like, am I betting on Alex Chayka at 5-1? But no, it's been interesting. Like, golf, I think, is the one sport where it could really work. And I know NASCAR's coming back. The South is open for business, basically. It's interesting, too, when you think about a pit crew, a guy's on a tire, another guy's on gas. They're already insulated in those suits in the car, and basically the Southern United States is like, we're moving forward, man. We're doing this thing. I really don't care. So I think NASCAR is coming back, golf's coming back. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you're right. Some places the numbers have stabilized, but we can't screw around and have parties on beaches, or else we're going to be here forever, and we're never going to have live sports with people in seats again.
Yeah, Ben, do you think it's a coincidence that when you see the sports that are returning like right away, so you have like MMA, you have golf, you have NASCAR, and it does look like football is going to try to push forward that these are basically the right-leaning sports?
Oh, no, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I do think some of them, golf in particular, have just the way that the game is structured, have some advantages, but there's a lot of PR intricacies within this of what happens if you don't get it, not completely right. What if a player does get sick? Is the blowback going to be so immense that it's not worth it? For some of these leagues, I think they have a little more wiggle room with their key demographics, and they might want to push the envelope a little sooner.
Yeah, I mean, MMA for sure. Like, I was telling Paul my conspiracy theory about UFC, where they should book a fight that was never going to happen anyway and say that one of the fighters tested positive for COVID, and they're just going to take them off. Like, they're going to say that they have all these tests, but it's the UFC. Maybe they'll just be like, no, we'll fake it, and then it'll make it seem like we're doing the testing, and then we don't actually care.
Yeah, you're right, Pat. Shag knows, too. Like, Dana White's not stopping. Like, it's like, we'll do it on a beach. We'll do it here. We'll do it here. Like, we don't care. Let's do 4 fights ahead. It's like, man, this guy will not be stopped. And when he was stopped, he was pretty angry about it. It's interesting that the one league, like the fighters, it's just like, dude, have you even talked to me yet? He's just throwing stuff out there. And yeah, I don't think they really care. They just want to start making money again and getting this thing going.
Yeah, well, it's funny too, because you might say, like, if politics aside, maybe like it's individual sports that can come back easier because you can isolate those people. So you have NASCAR, golf, MMA, but then, like, why isn't tennis back, Ben?
Yeah,
Tennis is simple. Like, yeah,
exactly.
So
you bring up good points, Patrick. It's all about money. It's all about politics. And yeah, like Trump's talking to these guys, Roger Goodell and them. And I got to be honest with you, and the NFL draft was a while ago, it was old news, but I can't believe that thing went off without a hitch. Like, when we're dealing with Wi-Fi issues and stuff, hell, I got a green screen here, but it's formulated for other shows that I do. And I can't even, but then again, Pat, I'm my own IT department, and you taught me a lot. Before, I couldn't even turn on a computer. So there is progress, but it's amazing to me. And the numbers just spell it out. And it was shocking. You got Dave Gettleman on like a Tandy Texture Instruments computer that we used in grade 3. And then you have guys in Silicon Valley with 7 screens. It looks beautiful, It's absolutely amazing to me when you're dealing with different Wi-Fi and stuff like that there wasn't more glitches.
Well, I'm excited for the return of sports. I hope this all goes off without a hitch, and we don't have to think about the worst case scenario, because I want to watch golf again, and I'll even watch UFC. It's good for the content, and I respect Dana White's commitment to doing as many shows as possible, because myself, I don't like to be without content ever. So even if I'm going away for 2 weeks, that I'm going to have 10 shows in the bank that are going to come out every day that I'm gone. So I respect the commitment to contracts and the commitment to content, because he wants to get paid. I get it. Let's get into the Arkansas Derby, though. Race 1, we're going to start with. And there has already been one withdrawal. So the 6th horse in race 1 was Shooter Shoot, but the horse came down with a fever and caught a virus, which will keep it out of the first division. So what we're looking at is Charlatan, who's the favorite, is in the post position 1 minus 200 right now. My Friend's Beer, post 2, 40 to 1. Mosa, 100 to 1. Governor Morris, the governor, he's back, 4 to 1. Jungle Runner, 100 to 1. Wrecking Crew, so there's no 6 hole. The 7 spot is Wrecking Crew, 33 to 1. And no, Dale, which is if people don't know French for gold, is 12 to 1. Winning Impression, 40 to 1. Crypto Cash, 50 to 1. And Basin in the 11 spot is 6.5 to 1. Ben, who are the horses that you're familiar with from here outside of Charlatan and the governor?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Charlatan is in a class of himself. I'm just going to call this horse Gold because I'm not speaking French on this show. He's the horse 12 to 1. Seen a little of him. Really interesting. Had 3 really good races. Then he ran god awful when they put blinkers on him.
Yep.
They're taking blinkers back off, and that is something that I'm pretty interested right off the bat. He's running plenty of stakes races, ran second in 2 of them. But the last race I'm throwing out where he ran 9th, I think that may muddy the waters for what people are looking at.
So that horse is coming in at 12 to 1 right now. It's Gold Ring, by the way, if people are wondering what the English translation is. Cam, what do you make of these guys?
I think Ben brings up a lot of good points. Horses are fickle, kind of like my green screen. And, sometimes they don't like the blinkers and sometimes they don't. And it was a throwaway race. Ben will tell you, though, and he's right, Charlatan, this horse almost has to fall down to lose. I know you look at the 1 position and it's very difficult, but this horse is just, it's unstoppable. He's in a class of its own. And I always look for underdogs and, try to put the exotics. You have to pick other horses, but you can't throw this horse out. You might want to throw a Governor Morris, though, because I think a Gold Ring, Arnaud Dor, is a very dangerous horse. I agree exactly with what Ben is saying. And another horse that I like is, Winning Impression is another horse I think I'm going to throw in some exotics, and Wrecking Crew. I'm taking a lot of different chances, Pat. And we were right last time, even though we didn't win money, that 80 to 1 horse came in the last time Ben and I were on the show. And that's what you have to do. You basically have to have Charlatan with a bunch of others. It's not going to blow up the tote board. But think about this. If you do have the money to box, and for some crazy reason Charlatan has just a horrible trip and finishes, second, third, and you have one of these horses, you are going to blow up the tote board, as we talked about before, because you have a horse at minus 200 in this field. That tells you how good Charlatan is.
Well, the last time we did this, and this is what I was bringing up off the top, is that we played that trifecta that had the winning horse in it. That was the only part of the winning horse that I had. So I had it boxed to 3, boxed to 4, boxed to 3, but they got rid of the third leg of it on the site that I'm on. They've now changed the rules because it says a non-runner equals a no bet. You're just going to get your money back. But what they did there was just get rid of the place 3 of the trifecta. So I hit the 1, and I had that 80-1 horse who you brought up as the 2 hole. So I ended up getting paid like 9-1 on it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, you got paid. I didn't get paid, Pat. I should just text you and figure out what you're doing and do the same thing. You have a knack for finding the money, but this race is going to be really interesting, and I'm really glad they broke it up in 2 too. It's going to be awesome. 22 horses. Even if some scratches, you don't want to have like those Kentucky Derbies with 16, 17 horses running. Bad things are going to happen out of the gate. Horses get caught up, they get cut off. Sometimes they bust out of the wire. The jockey might flip off. It's just too much danger when you're dealing with, I think, like 15, 16 horses in a race. And we're talking like probably even after scratches, 18 or 19. So I think this is great in the 2 races. And Charlatan, Pat, I want to be different, but I can't. This horse is just too damn good right now. But the gold ring, winning impression. And so what did I have right now in my numbers? I basically have 4 horses that I'm going to be putting into stuff. Race 1, 1, 7, 8, and 9, trying with a couple flyers, and I'll be doing some different things with those numbers. I'm actually going to throw the Gavna.
Oh, you're going to throw in the 4 horse as well?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to try some different things with this race because I really believe Charlatan wins. But I'm telling you, this gold ring horse that Ben brought up, I think he's going to finish second in this race.
So yeah, you could do an exacta, Ben. You can go 1-8 if you wanted to, or you could even potentially do what you had talked about last time and do the wheel here. Do you think, and by the wheel you were talking about is like take the 1 horse, then take the rest of them behind him if you end up fading the winner. Do you think you can fade Charlatan in this spot?
No, so there's the one, if you want to look for a red flag is he's beaten nobody. He's been basically walking to the finish line because he's been so far ahead. He has not been tested at all. But the other problem, not that I thought it was going to be an issue, he goes right to the front. The other horse that goes right to the front is Shoot or Shoot. He's scratched. So there's nobody that's going to go with him. He's just going to go wire to wire. It's almost impossible if no one sets the pace with him. He can control the tempo. The closers will be dead. I honestly can't see him losing. I know this is a step up in competition, but this is Baffert's best horse. I know he has the favorite on the other side, but this horse is a monster. So pending he gets out of the gate, fine, and I think he will. It should be a pretty easy trip for Charlatan.
Do you have any worries about him running from post position 1?
I mean, it's not ideal, but he wants to go to the front anyway. So if he can get out of the gate, he'll save ground across the turn anyway. So
that's true.
Yeah, I honestly don't. And I think with the lack of speed in this race, I wonder if there's a horse, the 11 horse Basin, who I honestly didn't think would want to go to the front, but I'm interested to see if someone will press Charlatan and say, you know what, our only chance is to create a speed duel, because if we let him go free, we have absolutely no shot.
Yeah, Basin coming in at 6.5-1. That could be like the guinea pig horse who wears itself out, and then maybe
sacrifice.
And then maybe we can get like even if we do an exact of like 1-8 potentially, or even try to box 1 and 8 together, and then go 7, 8, 9 as the 2 position, or 1, 7, 8, 9, and try to play it that way. I think that could be an interesting strategy. I'd be curious to see what it pays. Right now, the site that I'm using don't have those bets open because we're too far away. Again, the start's Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time if you're looking to get into it. But I think that's the route that I might go. Are they breaking this up into 2 races because there's too many horses to run, or they just want double the handle?
Yeah, money talks, Pat. BS walks. I think you said it. They are probably breaking up because of the handle, but it's also you can't have that many. I think it's a combination of both. More so money. I think you're absolutely right. They would have a big one, but I think the 2 races totally make sense. And I will say this to Ben's point too about Charlatan. He hasn't beaten anybody, but in the other race, even though Nadal is 3 for 3, I think this one is where we could see a number. We could see a horse 8-1, double digit. There's no guarantees there. I'm not going to bet chalk in both races, Pat. That's the thing. So I have some interesting picks in the other one too, where I'm going to take Charlatan because this horse is basically, Ben said it, like it's unstoppable. The speed in comparison to the other horse is unreal. You don't want to have a one hole, but I don't think it's going to matter either. But in the second race, I do think we could have a price come in.
Well, the 8 horse in the second race, Fast Enough, was scratched after re-aggravating a shin injury. So right now, it looks like Finnick the Fierce, 33-1 from post position 1. Saratogan, 150-1 from 2. Storm the Court, 16-1. King Guillermo, 3.5-1. Nadal the favorite at plus 110. Code Runner, 100-1. Silver Prospector is 8-1 out of the 7. The 9 horse, Tation, is 33-1. Farmington Road out of the 10 is 11-1. And Wells Bayou out of the 11 hole is 5.5-1. So, Cam, you have some thoughts on who could come out of the back end here?
I do. I really like the 10 horse. I think that horse has a chance to do some serious damage in this race. If you take a look at the races, I think this thing might set up. Remember, 9 furlongs too. This is interesting. With Charlatan, Pat, in a 9 furlong race, he could just go wire to wire. But the other thing is, if there's a speed duel, lots of things can happen when this race is that long, right? You have things happening, and over time, you want to have a stone cold closer come in, from 3 off the pace and make a big move, at the quarter pole. And I think that could happen. I also, King Guillermo, I think could win the race. So he will be a part of my picks as well. I'm not sure if Nadal is going to win this race. In comparison, if I look at the 2 favorites, I think Charlatan is a much bigger favorite in race 1 in comparison to 2. But the 10 horse, to me, buddy, I'm all about it. Was a winning impression. I think he's going to be there. I think he can win the race. And I'm taking another couple chances here. What a guy like King Guillermo, Farmington Road, and Silver Prospector are all horses I'm going to be putting in my exactas, tries, and exotics. That's going to do a wheel, Pat. And I'm telling you, I think there's a lot of interesting horses. This is where you could fade the favorite and make some money.
Do you agree with that, Ben, that fading Rafael Nadal as the favorite is the move?
Absolutely. So my man, Cam. So here we go. Nadal, he was tested. He had a brutal speed duel in the last one at Oaklawn, and he did win the race. So credit to him. The big problem here is Wells Bayou, who won the Louisiana Derby, also has to go to the front. So you have 2 horses that are both really good horses that are saying we're going to the front. Farmington Road is not going to the front. He's coming from way back. He needs the pace to collapse. And with Wells Bayou and Nadal both going right to the front, I think it sets up pretty poorly for both of them. King Guillermo's the horse I honestly don't know what to make of him. Won the Tampa Bay Derby. He was 50-1. Now, obviously, after that, he's been bet down a ton in this race after that big performance with Sole Volante, the horse he beat. And I'll give you one more bomb. The 1 horse, Finnick the Fierce. He has 1 eye, first of all. So you can never throw out a horse that only has 1 eye. But this is the horse he beat Tiz the Law, who we talked about, of course, in the Florida Derby. He's another one, should be closing, going to be huge odds. But I do think there is a chance that Nadal and Wells Bayou completely implode on each other, and then the race is wide open.
What do you think of Silver Prospector?
Yeah, he's the other one he's an interesting horse. I'm a huge Steve Asmussen guy who trains him. He had an awful trip in the Rebel, which was the last big stakes race for him. I didn't love it there. But the other question I have with him, 9 furlongs, I think that probably helps him more than it hurts him. Needs the pace again. I think Wells Bayou and Nadal have to both go for the lead, and that's a great thing for the rest of these horses.
So if we were trying to play either an exacta or try to play a trifecta and box this out, like you would say that maybe the move would be scratch out Nadal, scratch out Wells Bayou. If they run away with it, you lose. If not, you can get some big value on some of these other horses at longer odds.
Yes, I think that is the way. That's the way to attack it, Pat. In a 9 furlong races, these horses could run out of gas, and then we're open for business. This will be boxcars, bombs. If these horses don't finish like top 4, both of them, it's going to be absolutely insane. I don't even know what the numbers are going to be for the superspecta. I'll let along the odds for an exacta or a try, but I think it's time we have to chance and take a chance with some of these other horses. I'll tell you, man. Things can happen. 9 furlongs, there's a lot of things that can happen. You have to really time your move. But these horses that like the front, it's very, very hard for them to maintain a pace like that for the whole race. 6 furlongs, sure, but this is 9. This is different. And this is when these horses come down the stretch, they might be gassed. And you watch these other horses that just plod along, take over there. So Farmington Road, to Ben's point, as I talked about, I think there's a lot of pluses for this horse in this race, and I'm going to bet him across the board to win as well.
Yeah, I mean, at 11-1, I might just throw some cash on that and then try to hit some of my exotics. Ben, what do you think the best way like if there is a way to approach the second race versus the first race, like fading the favorites in the second race seems to be the proper idea here if you're going to make that stand, right?
Definitely. I mean, this race, and it's a product of the thing. If Wells Bayou was in the first race, not that I wouldn't like Charlatan, but it would be a lot different, because when you have two horses that are both objectively trying to set the pace, they can make the fractions impossibly fast for them, and that's a disaster. Obviously, both horses are going to try to limit the damage, but I don't think they can do that at 9 furlongs. If you look at Nadal's last race against Accession, he was not saying he was beat, but he was getting closed on. If that race was 9 furlongs, he would have lost, no doubt in my mind. Now, will he plan it a little better? Maybe, but at almost even money, I'm totally in line with Cam. This is where you can make the money if you get it right. Not saying it happens, but when you're talking about monster exotics, it is certainly worth a splash.
How long is 9 furlongs?
I think it's 1.1 miles.
A mile and an eighth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 1.1 miles. That's long. See, Pat, like, when you're watching those speed races at Gulfstream, when they're just coming out of the gate, boom. Like, if you don't get a good start, you're dead. Like, I'm sitting there, sometimes I'm watching my race going, great. My horse just kicked out of the gate. He's last. There's not enough time to make up. This is another interesting thing about 9 furlongs. If you come out of the gate, don't have problems, you can kind of plot your way around. Like, there's a lot, you know what I mean? And good jockeys, veteran jockeys, they know the way to play this thing. I think a lot more things can happen for the underdog in these races as we watch the favorites kind of fade. So I like the 9 furlongs. It's a nice long race, and weird things are going to happen. I think this is where we can see more bombs, more things come in, because I'll tell you, Nadal, great point by Ben. I'm not sure if this is the distance for him. He's still a wicked horse, but at that price, I will not be playing him. I'll be looking to go in different directions and trying to make some money.
Ben, how long is the Kentucky Derby in terms of furlongs?
I don't know.
I think
it's a mile and a 16. The Belmont is the longest. That I know. That's a unique race, though.
What, the Belmont?
Yeah.
The stretch never ends.
Yeah.
I was there. Like, people don't understand, Pat. Like, when you go to the Belmont, I'm sitting there with a beer. Courts come on, your horse has the lead at stretch. Like, this race is never ending. This race is never ending. Like, they just keep on running and running and running. Yeah, the Belmont, that's wild. You need a stone cold closer, like a speed horse there. That's one of my things, Pat. I haven't been to the Kentucky Derby, but I've been to one race out of the Triple Crown. But bucket list stuff, I got to get to the other two.
Yeah, Derby 10 furlongs for the record.
10 furlongs at the Derby. Okay, so are there
That's long.
Are there any horses in this race, Cam, that we're going to see at the Kentucky Derby?
I don't even know what do you think, Ben? What are they doing with the Kentucky Derby right now being pushed back? There's a lot of different things that they have to do. Yeah, well, we probably will, Pat. I don't know exactly how it's going to go down, though. And the thing about the Kentucky Derby was the one thing that bettors did was you'd go to like your sports book and take like a 200-1, and then you go, wow, he's starting to do really well in these other races and knock it down to 50. With the race being pushed back, I don't even know really what to do with the Kentucky Derby right now. I'm going to have to talk to Blessing. My boy Brian Blessing, he does a horse racing show. He kind of taught me about horse racing when I got interested in it, but I don't know, Pat. Like, to be honest with you, out of these horses, I hadn't even looked at the Kentucky Derby right now.
Yeah, Ben, I would assume like Charlatan, if it wins this race, it's going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, these are points races. So the way it is, the prep races, you get points for the Derby, but never have you had the Saratoga meet looming before the Derby. That's not a thing. Saratoga opens in July. The Derby's done by then. You're going to have horses shipping up there. Hopefully I will be there. What about Saratoga though, Ben? New York and California aren't screwing around. That's the one thing, right? The governor's like phase 3, phase 4. So you look, Santa Anita's closed down, right? And all these other tracks in California, that's why they're running. They're running in Florida with Tampa Bay and Gulfstream, and they're running in Arkansas. So that's huge.
Who knows?
I'm interested to see there is a horse. I bring him up every time I'm on the show, Maxfield, who I think is just waiting because he knows he has more time. I think he would have been in this race if he needed to be, but some of these horses, yes, if the Derby does run, the winner, I'd say, of both of these divisions will be there, no doubt about it. But
probably the second place horses and third, maybe.
Absolutely,
too.
Yeah. Very unique, though. We've never seen something like this.
It's funny that this is how they're choosing to approach it, where something like golf, like the Masters field is closed. Like the Masters played on its real rules, despite the fact that it's being pushed back 6 months. Like even if you win the U.S. Open this year, you don't qualify for the Masters this year. You qualify for the Masters the year after. It's just really strange how the different sports have gone about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is why there's so much interest in the Arkansas Derby, because the Wood Memorial and a lot of other prep races, there's nowhere else to get points. So everyone is shipping their horse saying, well, we got to make a showing here, because if we want in the Derby, you can't just go in the Derby. There is a process. So
yeah, it's hilarious too, guys. When you're watching Oaklawn, like I'm watching the other tracks, I watch horse racing every day, like social distancing with these guys, it's not even part of the, like I'm seeing Buddy in the paddock. Hey, how you doing? Like there's a guy right next to each other. They're walking the ring. There's tons of people. It's so funny down south. They're just kind of like, meh, whatever. Like, and I remember when they were threatening Gulfstream, they're like, you got to close down Gulfstream as like, yeah, you shut us down. We'll sue you. Good luck. Like they're not screwing around down south. And as we talked about earlier, man, these horse racing tracks, because of COVID-19, they're actually making money. The ones that are on now, they're the only game in town, Mayo.
Ben, what's up after the Arkansas Derby? Like, what's the next big race?
Yeah, that's where, again, that's why there's so much interest. I'm honestly not sure what happens between now and Saratoga. Like Belmont, technically would be, but like it's bad. I'm pretty close to Belmont. I don't think that's feasible. So I don't know exactly what happens in terms of the hiatus of Santa Anita and these other tracks up in the air.
Cam, before I let you get out of here, I know you have to roll. Do you have any fun quarantine stories for us?
No, not really, Pat. I just do some shopping for my parents and stuff. I got to be honest with you, very unimpressed with these liquor services. Like, when I'm sitting there doing shows and you promise me 2-hour delivery and then it says 2 hours the next day, like that's the thing. Like, Pat, if there's some kids with initiative right there, like find a way to get these things. I don't care if you had a troop of people with like liquor and cigarette services, you could make a killing right now. Like I go to the beer guy, I go to these other guys, they suck. So I'm sitting there drunk after like my shows and I'm not going to go out in my car. I can't do anything. I call these guys and they can't get me to the next day. That is a problem. No real quarantine stories, Pat. I've been living like this for the past 2.5, 3 years since Ferenczi moved to New York. I've had a home studio anyway. The only thing that's different for me is waiting in lines to get booze and food and shopping for my parents. Other than that, COVID-19 has not changed my life in any way other than I'm just betting more horses and less hockey and other sports, basketball, college sports and stuff like that. It's basically been the same, buddy. Pretty boring.
You need to phone the taxis. That was the move that we used to use when we were in high school. We'd phone the taxi company to go get us liquor, and then they would come and they're like, "Oh, you're not of age," and they're like, "Well, do you want the money or not?" They're like, "We'll take the money."
Smooth. That's a good move there, Mayo. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Just pay the handle. Yeah, get the cab guy. I don't know how many people they're dealing with there during the day. I guess I just put on my hazmat suit and hope for the best.
Yeah, Ben, have you left the house at all?
A little. Nothing's really open here, so there's not much to do. Even if you wanted to leave, like you have to wear a mask in New York, and there's nothing to do. So not really. I just hope. I mean, I spend my summers in Saratoga. I am not a happy camper if they shut down that meet. That's really where my concerns are in the sports world. But we'll see what happens between now and then.
All right, that'll do it. Pat Mayo Experience, Arkansas Derby. Ben, tell everyone what you got going on over at awesemo.com.
Yeah, certainly we'll have a write-up on this Arkansas Derby, breaking everything down. We have our Sims in the NFL and the NBA doing that. And then, as you mentioned earlier, even though I'm certainly not the responsible for this, League of Legends is huge. Esports is gigantic right now with the contests over at DraftKings. We have projections. We have ownership. We have all the things you need. So we'd love to have you stop by right before everything heats back up.
You can follow Ben on Twitter at JazzRazDFS. You can follow Cam at Cam Stewart Live. Cam, you and Morency are just cranking out shows right now?
Yeah, we're pulling a Mayo. Yeah, we're doing a lot of different shows, Pat. And the bosses, we've been on calls all week. It looks like we're going to go live a lot sooner than later because, we're all in our home studio. So we're on Sports Grid. Check out the videos with me and Game Time Decision. Scotty Farrell, who used to work for Howard Stern, is now part of the team. So we got a lot of things going on, Pat, and I appreciate it, buddy. And yeah, Ben, if you could send me some Sims winners or some hot tips, I like it. I've literally bet one Sims game and I covered the spread with Carolina +7 against Kansas City, but I don't have time in the day for League of Legends and all this other stuff. I wish I could play, but when would I ever have sex or do other things, Pat? Like we do a lot of shows, so I got to draw the line somewhere, but it'd be nice to be good at video games.
I do want to send my apologies to Gabe. I saw the Sports Grid YouTube channel went down for like a week a while ago, and it was because of something that I had done like 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's what you do, Pat. I know they're like, our boss calls it Mayo did. I was like, it's not your fault, Mayo. But anyway, it's unbelievable. Yeah, 6 years ago, and now they come knocking on the door. Unreal.
Yeah, I was playing by the rules of back then, just not the rules of right now. They can't retroactively. Like the statute of limitation should have passed on that. But we all went through it too. Like I remember, Ben, you guys got shut down. I remember the DraftKings channel got shut down. That was like a year and a half ago. It seems like they're systematically wheeling through anyone who talks about sports gambling content. Anyway, here we are. I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at ThePME, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Also, subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience. While you're there, rate it 5 stars. DraftKings handle, something you like about the show. Boom. That would be very, very good. Also, smash the like for the episode and tell me who you think is going to win one of these races at the Arkansas Derby. That would help out the show a lot as well. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!